Shapes everywhere.
Life's an everyday adventure. That's my philosophy. Some days my mother decides we're going to have a calm and easy day. Today is one of those days. The funny thing is that I don't know how to be calm and easy. As my mother and I sat in the kitchen eating our tasty breakfast, my mind raced with all of the things I could do today. I could invent a new way of walking. I could try eating only green foods for a day. I could paint my room with pink stripes. My mother knows me well and could tell I was thinking too much. She said gently,
"Try to be calm, Sweet Pea. Today is all about trying to be calm. No projects, no chores, no places to be. Just a nice, calm day."
I told my mother that I would try, but it wouldn't be easy. She winked, popped up from the table, and said,
"Follow me. I have an idea."
I followed my mother. She grabbed a blanket from the couch and spread it out on the floor. We both laid down on it. She said lying on the floor always helps her to be calm. So we both just stayed there for a while. I think it was working because I could just quietly lay there and look around the room. Everything seemed a little different from down there. What was it, I thought to myself? Then I got it! Shapes! Shapes are everywhere! Everything was either a shape or a bunch of shapes put together. I know I was supposed to be calm, but my little rectangular toes were tingling like crazy in my moccasins. I tried to calm down by looking out the window. I always think of it as a window, but now I was seeing it as two big squares put together. I flipped over onto my stomach to see if that would help me calm down. The couch was right in front of me, and it was no longer just a couch. It was a bunch of rectangles put together. My mother sat up and said,
"What are you thinking about, Sweet Pea?"
I sat up too and told her about my amazing discovery. I was on a roll. I had to look at everything. I took my mother's hand and we walked towards the front door. "Look at the front door. It is a rectangle and a half circle," I said with excitement. Then I turned to look at the stairs. And the stairs are just a bunch of rectangles. Shapes are everywhere. I had no idea.
You are a very clever little lady. You are seeing the world around you as artists and architects do. Everything starts as something very simple. Then details are added to make it different or special. Let's keep finding shapes,
my mother said as we walked into my father's thinking room. We first looked at the globe. That was easy. It was a circle. Then we looked at all of the books on the wall. They were all either squares or rectangles. As we were calling out shapes around the room, my mother grabbed some paper and colored pencils.
"Let's go outside. I have another idea,"
my mother said with a smile. "Fantastic," I said as I returned her smile. We sat under my favorite tree with the colored pencils and paper. My mother asked me to draw what I saw using simple shapes. As I looked straight ahead, I saw a tree. It looked like a tall rectangle with a circle on top. So that's what I drew.
"Excellent, Sweet Pea. What else does that look like?"
my mother asked. "Well, I know it is a tree, but these two shapes could also be a lollipop or a balloon with a thick ribbon attached to it." "Wow! I never would have thought of that before," I said, still staring at the two shapes. My mother explained that when you can see or draw something very simple, it can transform into many things. What makes it special or different are the details added to it. My mother helped me color the long rectangle and circle to make it look more like a tree. Then we drew it again and made it into a lollipop. We even drew it a third time to be a pretty pink balloon with a large purple ribbon.
"See? It's all in the details,"
she said as she ran into the house to get us a snack. When my mother came back outside, the dog followed her, hoping she'd drop a little something. But she didn't. The grapes and cheese were all for us. Suddenly, I looked at the dog differently. I began to see her as shapes. I quickly grabbed a mouthful of grapes and started to draw. Her body was an oval, 4 skinny rectangles became her legs, a small triangle was her nose, and 2 bigger triangles made her ears. Wait, what about her tail? What shape was that? I thought for a moment, then I drew a really long and skinny triangle for her tail.
Excellent, Sweet Pea. You are really getting the hang of it. I bet you could draw almost anything now, at least as simple shapes,
my mother said proudly. I was so happy with myself, I tried to think of something really hard to draw. What about a town or a city? I started drawing squares for houses, then tall rectangles for big buildings, but it was now too easy. Amazing! Shapes make the world really simple. Just as I was thinking about what to draw next, I heard my father come home. Aha! Maybe I can draw him. I drew a circle for his head, then was starting a rectangle for his body when I heard,
"Hello, Miss Molly."
I looked up and there was my father holding out a small box. "Square!" I shouted as I pointed to the small package. My father smiled as he handed it to me. As I opened it, my mother warmly explained to my father that our calm day turned into talking about and drawing shapes.
I did something a little different today, too. I took a different way home and passed by our favorite bakery. So I decided to get you one of your favorite cupcakes,
my father said. With a big smile on my face, I quickly responded, "This is no cupcake. This is a square with a half circle on top." We all laughed as I took a giant bite of the delicious cupcake. Shapes are everywhere, and if you can see them, you can draw or imagine almost anything. Molly Moccasins, everyday adventurer.